Your roommate graduated with zero debt. Zero. His parents paid for everything. He walked across that stage with a clean slate, and you walked across it 11 minutes later carrying $87,000 in student loans that wouldn't show up on your body, but you felt anyway every single day for the next 6 years. Everyone at that graduation looked at him like he'd already won. Good family, good school paid in full, no loans hanging over his head. They looked at you like you were starting the race 20 yards behind everyone else. Here's what nobody in that stadium could have guessed. You and that same roommate retired within 4 months of each other. Not because the debt didn't matter, because of exactly what you did with it. Starting the week after graduation, that he never had to do at all. I'm going to walk you through the actual numbers. The 2 years it nearly broke you, and the one call you made to your loan servicer that changed everything. Stay until the end, because the moment that mattered most isn't the one you'd expect. $87,000 at 6.8% interest. Your first bill lands 3 weeks after graduation, $491 a month, on a starting salary of $41,000 a year, in an apartment you're splitting with the guy who doesn't have a single payment to make. He orders takeout twice a week without thinking about it. You start doing the math on gas station coffee versus the machine at work, and the gap between what feels normal for him and what feels normal for you is the loudest thing in that apartment, even though neither of you ever says it out loud. Your parents don't have the money to help. That's not a complaint. It's just the math. You knew that going into college, which is exactly why you're the one holding the number he never had to think about. Here's the part that made your friends think you were being dramatic. 6 months in, you call your loan servicer and ask one question nobody in your position usually asks. What happens if I pay more than the minimum, specifically toward the loan with the highest interest rate first? The rep sounds almost surprised. Most people just pay the minimum on everything and let it ride. You set up something called the avalanche method that night, off a spreadsheet you built yourself, ranking all 4 of your loans by interest rate instead of balance. The highest rate loan gets every extra dollar. The rest get minimums. Nothing complicated. Nothing anyone would put in a highlight reel. You also do something that costs you nothing and saves you more than any side hustle would have. You call twice a year and ask if there's a lower rate available through refinancing as your credit score climbs. Twice, someone says no. The third time, someone says yes, and your rate drops from 6.8 to 4.9%, which by itself saves you over $9,000 across the life of the loan. Year 2 is the hard one. Your car needs an $1,800 repair. The same month, your roommate casually mentions he's putting a down payment on a car his parents are helping him buy outright. You put the repair on a credit card because the alternative is not having a car to get to work. And for about 4 months, you're paying loan minimums, credit card interest, and rent at the same time. And the spreadsheet stops feeling motivating and starts feeling like a countdown to nothing. This is the part nobody puts in the story. You don't have a breakthrough. You just keep making the minimum extra payment anyway, some months barely covering it, because stopping felt worse than the discomfort of continuing. You pick up 8 hours a week at a coffee shop on weekends, not because it's exciting, because 8 hours a week is roughly $300 extra aimed straight at the highest interest loan. Year 3, something shifts that you don't notice happening in real time. The highest interest loan is gone, fully paid. You didn't throw a party. You moved the amount you were paying on it straight onto the next highest rate loan the same week, without letting yourself feel the extra room in your budget for even a month. Your roommate, meanwhile, is doing something you never judge him for out loud, but definitely notice. He's spending roughly what he earns because he's never had a monthly number chasing him that forced him to build a system. He's not reckless. He's just never had to develop the muscle you built out of necessity. By year 4, you're debt-free. $87,000 gone. 4 years and 7 months after that graduation stage. You take the exact amount you were paying toward loans, the whole $491 plus every extra dollar you'd added over the years, and redirect every cent of it into a retirement account the same week the last payment clears. Here's the moment I told you about at the beginning. Your roommate, debt-free since day 1, could have been investing that same kind of money for 4 years longer than you. He had every advantage timing-wise. That's the story everyone assumes. But debt did something for you that having none did for him. It forced you to build an aggressive, automatic system years before you had any extra money to invest at all. When your loans disappeared, redirecting that same disciplined payment into a retirement account wasn't a hard decision. It was just muscle memory pointed somewhere new. You never felt the money, so you never never learned to spend it. Your roommate spent his 20s without that forced structure, and by the time he decided to get serious about saving in his early 30s, he was building the habit from scratch. The same habit you'd already been running on autopilot for 4 years. That 4-year head start on the habit, not the money, is what closed an $87,000 gap and then some. Both your accounts crossed the same number within 4 months of each other, 22 years after that graduation. Same number, almost the same year, from 2 completely different starting lines. He tells people the story like it was inevitable. Good habits, steady saving. You know the real story. Yours started with a piece of paper you hated looking at every month for 4 years, and a decision to build a system around it, instead of just enduring it. This isn't a video telling you debt is secretly good. $87,000 at 6.8% was genuinely brutal, and if you'd never built that system, it could have followed you for 20 years instead of 4. The decision that actually mattered wasn't the debt or the lack of it. It was whether you built an automatic system around whatever number you were starting with, the same week you got the news, instead of waiting until it felt easier. If this helped you look at your own number differently, subscribe, because next week we're breaking down the exact refinancing script that got your rate dropped. Tell me in the comments, what's the number you're starting from right now?